Hi, welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray, and as always, we have a fantastic show. I'm just going to say to you guys, no matter what you do, whatever you're doing, you want to stop because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I will say this, even if it's not you or a family member today, it could be you or one of your family members tomorrow. So this subject that we're going to be talking about is really, really near and dear to my heart. And I really hope that you will tune in. But I want to again welcome you to You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. And for those of you who are new to watching You Didn't Get the Memo, here's what we are about: providing you, the viewer, with relevant, factual, mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. Today, my guest is Miss Melissa Hellums, who is the executive director for Serenity House in Oakland, California. And let me just say this, y'all, the work that is being done is transformational, it's life-saving, it's empowering, and it's confidence building. That's just among some of the things. But I want to remind you, if you have questions, be sure and put them in the comment section. We'll do our very best to get to you and to answer those questions. But I wanted to start with just playing a video because this is going to set the tone for what we're going to be talking about. So guys, just hang in there with me for about 6 minutes. Here we go. All right.
We've talked tonight about humble beginnings. We've talked about hurt, pain, and yet we've talked about victory. I began my life very humbly as my birth mother was a prostitute and an alcoholic on the streets of San Francisco. But just on the other side of the bay here in Oakland, California, there was a woman who was 34 years of age who was praying her last prayer at 14th and Adeline in West Oakland. And she had told God that she was not going to ask for a child anymore after this final prayer, because obviously it was not his will. A phone call came when she got to downtown Oakland. There was a store called the Gray Shop. And at that store, a phone call came. And it was our cousin from San Francisco letting her know that I had arrived 2 days before and wanting to know if she wanted this little baby girl. She said yes. She called her husband, my father, and they picked me up. And the thing that I do like to share for several reasons is because when you have children, you need to give them back to the one that created them. And my mother told me throughout my life that she took me to 10th Street near Beth Eden Baptist Church. That's where we had our home in West Oakland. And she took me in the backyard and she lifted me to heaven. And my life since then has not always been easy, but it has always been protected. And so what are we trying to tell you tonight? Well, I got raped when I was 7 years old, like many of the stories you've heard. And you know, within the church that I was raised in, they didn't like to talk about things like that. And the thing that really bothers me now, I'm now 64 years of age, and we still don't like to talk about it. But there are people that are coming in our doors every Sunday morning who have been wounded, and they just need someone to listen. We don't always need to hear, I'll pray for you, because we know that many times I've said, I'll pray for you. And if I don't pray for you right then, I'm probably going to forget by the time I get home. And so what we need is a loving heart, a listening ear, and knowing that people really care. I wrote something a few weeks ago from my heart at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had met a young lady on San Pablo Avenue, which is our territory now, who was thin and pregnant. That young lady said that she was about to have her baby at any moment, any time. And a friend of hers had been through our program, and she said, Miss Johnny, you need to know the whole story. And the whole story was that that baby already was addicted to heroin. And the only time the baby moved was when it wanted its fix. And so we already know that that child is coming in with a few problems from the very beginning of its life. But I also know that God knows, and he knows what to do. Now, what am I saying tonight? I didn't write anything down. I thought about it for a while, and many have heard my story many times. But what I thought about is, what are we doing? Whether you're in the body of Christ or not, what are we doing? We read in our newspaper every day about what's happening in the streets of Oakland and throughout the nation and the world. What are we doing? Because if all we are doing is talking about it, going, our young people are dying for the lack of some knowledge. And yet many of us go to our comfortable homes and we drive our comfortable cars. And every now and then we either participate in handing out some food. But what would happen if we did a concentrated effort to either totally support the people who have been assigned to the streets and to the hospitals and to the drug dens and to the jails? What would happen if the body of Christ, and not only just us, but people that really care, would stand up and fight for people to be free from all that keeps them bound?
Okay, I don't know about you, but if you were not moved by what you just heard Miss Johnny Davis speak of, this is why I wanted to have Miss Melissa Hellums, who is the executive director for the Serenity House in Oakland, California, on the show. So let's welcome her. Melissa, thank you so much for being here, being on the show, and to talk about the fabulous work that Serenity House is doing. And as you heard from Ms. Johnny, she asked a question: what are we doing? What would the world look like if we all, had that caring, that love, that compassion? And it really, really just resonated with me. So I'm going to ask you to, first of all, let's tell the viewers a little bit about your backstory.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. A little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. Attended the University of Texas for a couple of years. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. started out as a political science major and couldn't really make up my mind. Took a smattering of languages and sciences, and ended up stopping and getting married young, having my daughter young, and getting divorced young. And then later on had my son, and raised my family in Texas, and then moved to the Bay Area in 2008. And since then, I have largely been working with Serenity House. And as we go forward, I can give you a little bit more detail about how I got involved at Serenity House.
All right. Well, I'm a Southern woman as well. Melissa, we have that in common. But let's tell the viewers what Serenity House. Let's just get right to it. What is Serenity House? What is it about? And how did you become involved? Because I know there's a story there. What led you to it? So talk a little bit about that, please.
Okay. So it kind of goes back a little bit in time to before I left Texas. I had been in a domestic violence relationship when I was very young, in my 20s, after my divorce, and managed to get out of that and went on back into school and got my nursing degree and bought a home and raised my children. And, I always thought I would never get back into a situation like that. But 20 years later, I got involved in something similar. It wasn't physically abusive, but it was very verbally and emotionally abusive, which also takes its toll. And I also was dealing with a kind of a rare and chronic illness at the time, which caused me quite a bit of pain. And I slowly, over the years, became addicted to pain medication. And I found myself taking prescribed pain meds when I didn't really need them. So as my life kind of began to unravel, I have a wonderful, supportive family, and they helped me move out to the Bay Area so that I could begin anew. And I tried, but I was still struggling. And it wasn't until I found Serenity House and actually got involved in the program as a client that I was able to find true healing and really start my life again. I owe so much to Miss Johnny. She was my inspiration, my mentor. She passed away in 2017. I had started volunteering with the organization in 2013. Under her tutelage, I learned to write grants and helped her with various duties around the office, with event planning. And she passed very suddenly and unexpectedly at the end of 2017. We had Miss Jatan Mills, who was our director through a couple of rough years of transition. And then when Jatan left, the team asked me to become the executive director, and that was in August of 2019. And since then, we're just very committed to carrying on Miss Johnny's legacy of working with women, supporting women. We are survivor-led. About 60% of our team are former clients of Serenity House. Mm-hmm. And we're just really happy to be able to continue it.
Yeah. Like I said, the video of Miss Johnny talking about what led her, we didn't play the entire thing, but people can go on YouTube and watch it. It was just extremely touching. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Melissa, one of the things is I want you to talk about the people that Serenity House helps, because you've got a number of programs that are going on, and there are women out there. And first of all, let me thank you for just being your authentic self. A lot of times people don't want to tell what they've been through, but I always say, you know what? I can't help you if I've not walked in your shoes. And as Miss Johnny said, you look at people who go home with their comfortable lives, their comfortable cars, and they clean out their closet of all of those excess clothes that they don't wear, and they feel like they're doing something. But we're going to get into talking more about what people can do to really help the women at Serenity House. So you guys don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
All right, if you're just tuning in, I am talking with the executive director at the Serenity House of Oakland, California, Miss Melissa Hellums, and we are just talking about this program that is transforming lives, helping women. So if you're a woman, I would just say, look, if it's not you or your family member today, it could be tomorrow. The thing is getting the information and being educated about Serenity House and the programs that they offer. And before we went to break, Melissa, I had asked if you would share when we come back. Let's start talking about, first of all, the people that Serenity House helps. You know, everything from women who cannot afford housing, who needs jobs. Just kind of jump right in and let's start talking about that. And then we'll talk about the different programs.
Okay, well, so Serenity House serves women generally in the age group of 24 to 55, sometimes a little younger, sometimes a little older, but we really fill that gap that is not served through transitional age youth programs, which generally goes from 18 to 24, and then from senior programs, which generally are 55 and up. So it's a much needed gap that we fill. We work with women who have experienced addiction, domestic violence, and rape, other forms of violence, women who've been incarcerated, women who've been homeless. By and large, women who are extremely low income. Many have been involved in prostitution. And I would say about, we serve women from all backgrounds, but about 90%, sometimes up to 95% are African American. We're located in West Oakland. Most of our clients do come from Oakland, but also from surrounding areas.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the programs that Serenity House offers to, people who come to Serenity House. Talk a little bit, start out with that program. You already have told us some things, but what about some of the programs?
Sure. Okay. Well, first of all, I should probably mention that our actual organization name, and most people don't really know this, but it's Sister to Sister 2, and that was what Miss Johnny named it when she formed the organization. And Serenity House is the first actual program that she developed, which was founded in 2009. So Serenity House provides substance abuse treatment and services, and also recovery housing. So generally, women live in the house for anywhere from 6 months to sometimes up to 2 years or longer. We're a little bit different in the fact that we don't, we're very individualized. You don't have to necessarily have a checkout time, or we don't put women out if we haven't been able to help them locate housing and employment. Serenity House is very focused on healing and recovery. Miss Johnny used to always say we can't get our healing until we get to the root of the problem, really address and do that deep work. And that's how we come out on the other side. It's a faith-based organization. However, we accept women from all faiths, but definitely our work is are very spiritually oriented. Our groups, our healing groups, our counseling come from that spiritual lens. We have a variety of groups and classes, and that's all through our Serenity House Recovery Program. We also offer a day program for women who maybe they have their own housing, but they want to receive the services. So that's our main program. We also have our Serenity Safe Shelter Program, which we launched in April of 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the surge in domestic violence, where we were seeing women and children, sleeping in their cars and living in encampments. And we know that domestic violence has surged tremendously since it was already a problem, a huge problem, but it has just gone off the charts. So we launched this program. We offer emergency hotel rooms for women paired with counseling and intensive case management with connections to housing and employment. In 2020, we served 39 women and 26 children through that program, and by the end of the year, had been able to place 35 of the families into housing, and we're still operating that program in 2021, and I expect that's going to continue for the long term. We also have our Sisters to Reentry program, which provides wraparound support and healing groups and emergency hotel rooms for women released from incarceration. And we have our Serenity Wellness and Business program, which is an entrepreneurial skills program, pairing women with local business owners, other female local business owners, and teaching them a variety of skills and really helping them discover their own talents and interests, and then building upon that to become entrepreneurs. And I think that pretty much, there's one more that's our Sharing is Caring community outreach, where we provide hot meals for the homeless about 2 to 3 days a week, depending on what our funding and resources are. But right now we're doing it 2 days a week. We serve about 600 individuals every week and families, primarily our unsheltered population in West Oakland. And we also provide them with PPE. We've done that throughout the pandemic, COVID-19 outreach and education, and others.
Oh my gosh. A vast program. We had a question from one of the viewers, and I know that Sister to Sister 2, really, then the Serenity House, this particular program is based in Oakland. But the comment or the question was, are there other locations? And because we have viewers that are around the world and the country that are asking questions, I think it may be more appropriate to ask the question is, if you're connected and say there's a woman, because sometimes you get, like you said, we have transplants, people who come here to get away from a situation, but they still want to continue. Are you tied into referral programs to help them to kind of stay on track if they move to another city or state of that nature?
Typically, what we've done in the past is if they're, oftentimes they'll plug into 211, and that's how we'll get the referrals. But sometimes it's just word of mouth. If people pick up the phone and call us, we had a mom call from Florida whose daughter was addicted to heroin, and the mother, talked to us and flew her daughter out, flew out with her, got her into the program. So we're small enough that we're able to really operate quickly. We're not necessarily, have to go through a burdensome, multi-step, referral process. We try to make it happen quickly.
Okay.
Is that the question?
Yeah. I think that it most certainly does. I think any place that you go, that you're going to find these. It's just a matter, like you said, word of mouth, but also I like that dialing the 211 to find out what's out there and what's available, because domestic violence is it's so real. And the fact that you talked about having been in 2 different types of domestic violence relationship, because people think if someone mentally, they work on you mentally, psychologically, that that's not a form of domestic violence. And sometimes that's even worse than the actual hitting and the bruising, because that initially, eventually that goes away. So, but the scarring that happens on your psychological piece, it's really, really strong. And the fact that the Serenity House is offering these programs to these women to help them to get better. And I just think that it takes a very, very special person or persons who've been there, done that, to really understand. And not everybody will be like you, be able to get out, or like myself, who got out and kept moving. I just never let grass grow under my feet. But those are stories that people don't know. And I think that's really important to say. If you haven't walked in my shoes and you don't know my story, you can't revel in my glory. You don't know how I got to where I am, right? So that's really, really important. So you've shared a lot of good information, but we're going to take another quick break. But what I want to ask Melissa is, you talk about what's been one of your most successful programs. All of them are successful, but what is the one that seems, because there's certain things that people gravitate to. So what would you say would be the most successful program? And then I'm going to come back around to what are some of the needs for the Serenity House as well. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay. So Melissa, hang in there with us. Thank you so much for being here.
We do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. Show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice, so everyone knows exactly what to do. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family.
All right. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm just telling you, this conversation is so needed. It is so vitally important, and it is life-changing and life-saving. I have with me my guest, Miss Melissa Hellums, who is the executive director of Serenity House here in Oakland, California. And before we went to break, I had asked her a question about talking about what she has found has been the most successful program. And honestly, I don't even know if you can pick one, because you're dealing with domestic violence, you're dealing with women who are addicted to drugs, you're dealing with women who are homeless, with children, women who, I mean, there is so much, but I'll punt it to you and you tell me what your thoughts are.
Well, I would have to say that the Serenity House program, our original program, has been the most impactful. And the reason for that really is because it encompasses all of that. So when women come into Serenity House, we have found that usually about 90% of them have experienced some kind of violence, and many of them, it's been domestic violence. A large number of them were molested as little girls and have carried that pain throughout their lives and into adulthood, and started using substances as a way to cope with that pain. So it's really, I think, Serenity House, because it's so all-encompassing, and also because for women that have completed the Serenity House program, that complete 9 months in the program, about 75% of them are successful in remaining clean and sober, gaining stability in their lives, are reuniting with families and children, locating housing and being successful in employment. And as I mentioned earlier, many of them are giving back to the community, whether they're volunteering with Serenity House, working with Serenity House, or working with other organizations.
Well, thank you for that, Melissa, because I think that, again, what you guys are doing is so important. And as I opened up and said, this, is informational. That's why I do this show, because it's about educating. It's about inspiring. It's about informing people of what's happening and what's going on around you. And I want to thank you so much for being so open to sharing, this particular information. So when we talk about Serenity House, can you share with the viewers an example of the ways you've seen your organization work make a difference? And you kind of led into that when you were talking about a lot of the women who I love that fact, that entrepreneurial, where women are placed and become entrepreneurs. So, tell us a little bit more about that, or if you have a success story that you just still, sometimes you just get those that just really, really stick with you.
Yeah.
So do you have something like that to share with us?
Yes, absolutely. So we had a young lady come in a couple, I think it's already been about 2 years now since she came into the program. When she came in, she could not sit still. She had been using methamphetamine and methamphetamines and other drugs. Her children had been removed and were placed with family members. Actually, no, they were in the CPS system at that time. She was angry. She had a lot of anger issues. She had been in a domestic violence relationship, and it took some time, and it took a lot of love and a lot of support. And I always say we're a sisterhood of support, and that's what makes us unique. But over time, she just totally transformed and blossomed. And then when we launched our Serenity Wellness and Business Program in early 2020, she was really excited and interested, and we learned, and she discovered that she has a talent in photography. And so we were able to do some headshot events, which she led, and we had like one woman doing makeup and another woman doing hair. And then this young woman was doing the photography and getting paid to do the headshots. So that's one really exciting story. And by the way, she was reunited with her children, did homeschooling throughout the pandemic, and is just doing great. Came in last weekend to help us with an event that we had for donating women's hygiene items to distribute them on the homeless. So she's still very active and participates with us in various ways. So she's a real success story. We're really proud of her.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it just speaks to what can happen when you have people. To me, when I hear and we talk about the Serenity House, and when we met over a phone call, actually, we didn't see each other, but I was so intrigued by it, because the thing is, when you're able to be in a judgment-free zone, when you are able to really, really, because there's so many people, nobody's ever did the hard work. And it is hard work when you want to get to the core of what got you to where you are. And it takes a lot of patience, a lot of forgiving. And people need to understand, forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. Because when you're able to forgive, you're able to move forward, you're able to get on with your life. But you get stymied if you're hating, hurting, and I was listening, and I've heard this quote many times before, but I heard Bishop T.D. Jakes say it, it's like when you don't forgive a person, it's like you drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work like that. And so just knowing that there are programs out there that can help women. And it just so happens that I feel fortunate enough to have you talk about Serenity House. And it is the work you guys are doing. I know at times it may seem like, wow, what is this all for? But, there's always that silver lining. And again, I have to say, I thank you and I honor you and applaud the work that you guys are doing there. And that's for you and all of your staff too. So thank you so much for that. So let me transition and ask you this. What are the areas of opportunity for Serenity House? And talk about what are some of the things that Serenity House needs?
Okay, sure. One area of opportunity for us is, which we're working very hard on, is creating more housing. We know that there's a housing crisis in the Bay Area and in Oakland particularly. So we are opening a new house called Sisters House, and we'll be opening later this summer. We are renovating, and one way to support is we have through a GoFundMe on our website to help us complete the renovations, which at this point is basically paint and buying some new flooring for certain parts of the house. We're also going to be needing furnishings for this house, including things like sofas, chairs, beds, mattresses, and a washer and dryer. So we'd be really grateful for support in that area. We also we are always in need of, if women are interested in volunteering in some kind of way, they can give us a call and we can, let them know, especially now that California is reopening, maybe ways that, they might want to volunteer using their various, interests and backgrounds. We're also looking to recruit some new board members. If there's a professional woman out there who might be interested in looking into serving on our board. And I'm trying to think, I think those are pretty much the main areas that we're also a group facilitator. If a woman feels like maybe she's interested in facilitating a group for the women, she's got some experience and background, whether it's, from the survivor perspective or from a professional background, a clinician, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, I think that those are things, and I am wondering, or I'm going to say to our viewers, look, you just heard Miss Melissa say, I was trying to write as fast as you were saying it, but in this new home, sofas, chairs, beds, which includes bedding, mattresses, sheets, pillowcases, I'm certain towels, you said a washer and dryer. So those are things that I hope that you guys will, gather around. I know that I'm certainly going to, and I'll even go so far as to say this, Melissa, if people will contact me at my email, what I will do is I will collect those items. You can contact me and we'll make sure that we get them to you. So I'm just going to put it out there and say, who's going to join me? All right. You guys, let me just say, this is awesome. So you can contact me via Facebook, Instagram, but let's help these women because they're doing such great work. So, but you talked about a GoFundMe page, and you need funding for Serenity House, and that goes without saying. Let people know. You said it's on your Facebook page.
Yes. So we have. Our Facebook page is at Sister2, and that's TO Sister and the number 2, and there is the GoFundMe on the Facebook page and also on our website, which is www.serenitygouseoakland.org. And if you scroll down under the housing section, you'll see a GoFundMe for Sister's House.
Mm-hmm.
And also sometimes people would rather mail a check. So I'm happy to put the address in the chat box or wherever.
Yeah, do that, and I'll definitely put it up if you do that, so people can send a check. And and one of the questions was, how can people donate? So I know everybody now has Cash App and PayPal and Venmo and all of those different mediums, but go to the webpage and go to the GoFundMe, and let's definitely support so we can do that. So Melissa, don't go away. One of the things when I come back, we're going to talk about what is it that you want people who are watching the show to take away from today. Okay? So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thank you for watching the You Didn't Get the Memo show with your inspirational host, Gloria Bailey Ray. It's your contributions that make this happen. To become a sponsor, send an email to youdidn'tgetthememo@gmail.com. That's the letter U, didn't get the memo. If you're not in a space to be a sponsor, but you like what you hear, we simply ask that you support what you like by making a contribution to the show. There are 3 ways to make an online donation. Visit paypal.me/Gloria Bailey Ray or Cash App or Venmo, Gloria Bailey Ray. Give what you can. Your support is appreciated.
All right. So we are back, and I have been having an awesome conversation with the executive director of Serenity House of Oakland, California. And this is an organization that are supporting women, whether it's of domestic violence, whether they're homeless, whether they are drug addicted. It's the wraparound services for this organization is vast, and there are tons and tons of stories that are very positive about what Serenity House has done. Before we went to break, one of the things that Melissa had said, this is the address if you'd like to send a check to support Serenity House. And guys, every little bit helps. Every little bit. Don't think about my $25 won't make a difference, or my $50 or my $100. Just think about what you're doing and the people that you're actually helping. And I really, truly encourage you to go to the website and, serenityhouse.org. Make sure that you guys, let's support this organization. Let's lift it up. Let's do some things. It comes a point in time where, you just got to do it. And I'm just really, really passionate about that. You got to do it. I keep saying, it may not be you today or a family member, but it could be tomorrow or next week or next year. You just don't know. And so if you were on, and you guys can go back and watch the entire interview, is we had the founder, Miss Johnny Davis of Sister to Sister 2. Is that correct, Melissa?
Yeah.
And she talked about the why. She talked about the why. And I was just so touched by her story and what she has gone through and what she has done and the legacy that she left, because she knew the value of supporting women, sometimes who don't have any other option. And that's the thing. So let's see if we can't get some items to Miss Melissa at Serenity House and support. Before we went to break, Melissa, I had asked you to tell the viewers, what is it that you want them to take away from the show today? What are those nuggets that you want people to leave with?
Well, one thing I want to point out, and I think a lot of people are not aware of this, but women and girls are extremely underserved population even now in our modern day and age, and only about 1.6% of all philanthropic giving goes towards women and girls programs, and this is from December 2020 through the IRS data. So that can be actually found if anybody's interested in looking at the Women and Girls Index. Another thing I would say the takeaway really would be is, real change can happen, but it doesn't happen in a vacuum, and we can't do it alone. What I have seen is this: when women come together, when we band together as a sisterhood to support one another, that's when we can really make things happen, and that's how we help one another. And I think as women, we know that we have a special heart and passion to help other women. We're just naturally drawn to one another to support one another, and that's really, I think, the takeaway that I have gotten from my whole experience with Serenity House is how powerful a sisterhood is. Doesn't matter your background, where you come from, even the color of your skin. I mean, we're a diverse, at Serenity House, we're a diverse sisterhood, bringing love and healing to our community.
Oh, absolutely, Melissa. And we have a viewer that's just saying amen, because this is so real. And I just thank you again for coming on, talking about Serenity House, talking about the programs that are provided to these women. And the fact that the meals, I'm certain that in addition to that, you can always use food items non-perishable probably, but just to check with Melissa and find out what are those things that they are in need of. Y'all, I know that you know you got something. If you're in the store and look, you're in Costco and you're buying some chicken, buy a package of chicken for Serenity House, right? But each one, reach one, teach one, and that's what it's about. And it really is sad that in 2021 that women are still, the programs even for women, so underfunded. There is so much of a need, and as James Brown said, it may be a man's world, but it would be nothing if it wasn't for a woman or a girl. So if we're not making this happen, then what are we really doing? And it's just time out for playing. It's really and truly about us supporting women, helping women, and that's really and truly what it's about. So I want to thank you, Melissa, for being on the show. Again, I want to say to our viewers, let's support and get behind Serenity House. And Melissa, I lift you up for the work that you're doing and for all of the women that Serenity House works. Helps and support. All right. So thank you so much for being here. I want to say to you, the viewers, look, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then we know who really didn't get the memo. But this is a gentle reminder to you guys to support our efforts by inquiring about our sponsorship packages, our opportunities, if you'd like to become a supporter, so that we can continue to bring you this type of programming to keep you informed. And you can do that by making a donation of any amount, or checking out and going to you didn't get the memo.com page and sending me a message. All right. Hey, I want you to be sure and follow me on all of my social media platforms and mark your calendar for every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Join me for a dynamic program and guest. Heads up, coming up on June 22nd, I'll have in the house Miss Taru Law Phillips, who's the co-owner of Cold Stone Theater of Austin, Texas. That's right, Cold Stone Theater of Austin, Texas. And surrounding out the month, we'll have in the house Dr. Nola Lawrence discussing growing and cultivating adaptive relationships. All right, adaptive relationships. So you're thinking, what is that about? So be sure and lock in every Tuesday, you guys, at 5 p.m. Pacific to watch the show. Quick shout out to all my new viewers. Thank you guys for always tuning in and being supportive. I want to ask all of you to be sure and to follow me. And again, that number for reaching Melissa Hellums, my guest at Serenity House, is area code 510-891-0464. That's 510-891-0464. All right. Hey, as I always say, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's really you who didn't get the memo. So I want you, until this time next week, have a great week. Give thanks for all your blessings. Stay safe, be kind, practice emotional intelligence, and play it forward. Remember this, guys. The quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. As always, I thank you for tuning in. Until next week, peace.